Hey guys, good morning. My name is Jason Flame, host of the Master Motivation Podcast. Happy Black Friday. Hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I have an amazing guest today that I can't wait to introduce you to him and learn all about him and have him share his story with us today. This is Jon Emery, who is a podcast host, speaker, author, and coach who transformed one of the toughest years of his life into a mission to help others to find their voice. After losing a 20-year career and navigating a painful divorce, Jon began a journey of deep self-discovery that led him to a more authentic life and stronger relationships with his children. His show, Life's Checkmark, ranked in the top 10% of podcasts with more than 150 episodes, creates a powerful space for people who feel lost, stuck, or alone. Jon now guides aspiring podcasters who have been hesitant to start, helping them overcome doubt and finally share their stories with the world. Today, he leads a thriving podcast community, empowers others as an accountability coach, and inspires audiences through his speaking and writing. Jonathan, thanks for being on the show today.
Jason, thank you for having me. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
it's gonna be a good time. We got a couple people watching already. If you are watching, drop us a comment. Let us know that you're there, and don't forget to like, share, and comment. And if you're on YouTube, head over there and subscribe to Master Motivation Podcast. So, first of all, how's life right now? What's going on in your life? What's new in your world?
Yeah, life is crazy right now. I'm working on a book with guests that have been on my podcast, and things have changed in my life for the better for sure. So I'm just trying to find a way to help other people come together and experience how they can navigate, help others know that they're not other people aren't alone. So I'm trying to figure all that out and
Yeah.
enjoying the experience of where it takes me.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I appreciate the community that you've built on Facebook just with the group and allowing me to be a part of it and
Mhm.
share some of the stories that I've been able to listen to and introduce to the audience. So hopefully, working together, all of us working together can help each other and not only promote the podcast, but promote the stories that are being told. And that's your whole mission of helping people with their stories and share their stories to build people up. So, this show is all about motivation, inspiration, and education. So, I know that by hearing your story and hearing your background, this is going to resonate with someone out there. And so, let's just start with the first question. You shared that losing your long term job and going through a divorce were pivotal moments. What was the first spark that helped you turn pain into purpose?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there's not always one thing, right, that's going to change everything. So as a course of things, there's several things that actually happened. First, I had to navigate through all that stuff, right? So after the word divorce came to me, I focused on uh, working on myself emotionally and mentally, right? So I just navigated that part, trying to build myself up as far as uh, waking up, meditating, listening to stuff that's good on podcasts or YouTube, right? So I got to that point, and then I was working on myself all in other areas as well. But what actually helped me get to where I am today with the podcast is I jumped on a event. It was about a year after the word divorce came up, and it was on sale that year. And I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm doing next year. I might as well just pay and go, right?
Yeah.
And it's a podcaster that's near me, and it wasn't on podcast. It was just about growth. So I went. I think it was 2 days. I went down to breakfast. He was there, and a bunch of other guys were there, and I didn't know any of them until I sat down. They all left except for this one guy, and I tell this story multiple times. I don't remember his name, but he's like, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "Start a podcast." He's like, "Do you have anything?" And I said, "No." Or I'm sorry. I said I have 10 Facebook lives, and he's like, "Well, just strip the audio and start with that." And I didn't want to because it's not what my podcast is today, right? And it's not what I wanted. So those 10 Facebook lives were entrepreneurs coming on sharing their journey, their experience around the business. And I hesitated. I waited 6 months. I did exactly what he said to do, and I started the podcast. And it turned into what it is today. I just started those 10 episodes to get up and running. Um, and I started for the simple reason of to a way to learn how other people got through things in life, and so many different guests, so many different experiences that they went through. And then it was just the power of trying to connect the guests to listen and know that they're not alone and they can navigate through whatever they're going through. And maybe, I'm sorry, the listeners, and maybe the guest is, going through that.
Yeah. When I first started my podcast during COVID or right after COVID, um, people started asking me questions about, why are you doing the podcast? What is this for? And, at the time it started for one reason. It was like, well, during COVID, we had limited interaction with a lot of people, and I wanted to kind of bring a little more positivity to social media, because at the time it was kind of like, it was a lot of doom and gloom. And so I figured, well, I know a lot of martial artists that have a really cool story, and it's kind of motivating and uplifting. And maybe if we do that, people will kind of tune in. But over time, what I gained from it was the perspective from every single guest. And I find myself listening to every guest, like really leaning in and learning a lot more. So it morphed into this new thing. And I mean, I feel like I have a 1 hour therapy session or 1 hour education session, every time I have a podcast. So it sounds like, we kind of have, similar modes there. We learn a lot from people and from their stories. As I tell my children, when you watch people, you'll learn one of two things: what to do or what not to do. And
Hmm.
so hopefully we're generating some good buzz around what to do. Now I want to go back a little bit and dig in just a little bit deeper, if you don't mind. Um, losing a 20-year career. I mean, that's a huge life change. I mean, your life, I'm sure, kind of revolved around that. That's how life was, whatever you were doing at that time. But then also to get hit with divorce, you know, what hit you right away, and what were you thinking when those things happened?
Yeah. So the job, let's just start with that. So they closed around COVID, but it wasn't due to COVID, right? And so it was October of 2019. About 60 people walked out the door in production. I wasn't in production. I was in the logistics warehouse space. So they left, no more production. And then they kept asking me, can you stay? Can you stay? Can you stay? So I stayed for another 8 months. So I didn't
Hmm.
leave till May of the following year. Um, that was painful because I was one of the last three to leave, and basically it was a shell. So it was a fully functional manufacturing company, and we had to strip it all out. So I had to make sure everything left, except for the forklifts were the last thing to go before us, right?
Hmm.
And I always wanted out, right? But I didn't know I was going to get out that way, right?
Hmm.
I always wanted to have something set first and go, okay, now I can exit.
Right.
But God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, then, and had a different plan, right? And so I had to navigate that, and I didn't know what to do. So I jumped into whole life insurance at the time because I knew somebody, and that was different because it's commission based. And then I had to figure out how to sell that, right, and share that to the world. So I jumped in and I started doing YouTube videos, and I got to enjoy that and making that and kind of showing what I had to offer. Um, and then fast forward, so it was May that year. The following May, I was mentioned the word divorce, and so like I didn't see that coming. I was blindsided. I had to figure out what was going on at home because at the January of that year, uh, I just I just didn't know what was going on. There's behavior changes. The communication wasn't there. I would, looking back, I don't know if the communication was ever really there. Um, so I'll be honest with you. I listened to a podcast. It's called Dad's Edge. So it's still out there. It's for men, and everything's around men. And if I didn't do that and sign up to be like part of their group, their tribe, whatever you want to call it,
Hmm.
I don't know where I would be because I didn't have those friends to lean on to say something. I never took my relationship outside of it. I didn't think that was right, but now I didn't know who to turn to. So I
Hmm.
spoke to strangers, right? And those strangers helped me clear my mind, get better as far as every little thing I was worried about when I shouldn't have been worried about it. And it got me to a point where one of them is a coach, and so I hired him for the last 4 weeks before she mentioned the word. And so why do I say the last 4 weeks is because he had a masculinity course, and I at the time I did not know what that was, right? So I took that. It allowed me to learn a bunch of things in the relationship area as far as communication, etc. And I think between those men and him, that course prepared me for the word. And then I felt relieved after agreeing with it. Um, and that led me to where I started the morning routine, et cetera, and started working different areas of my life. But it would have been a struggle. I did not know until after going through that program with him that 10 men commit suicide every day from divorce, and that was then. That's like 4 years ago now, so it could be a lot higher. I don't know, but it's tough. It's
Yeah.
tough as a guy. You build an empire pretty much, and then it's all just stripped away,
Yeah.
everything. And yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
In both cases, both in losing the career and then also getting the divorce, you mentioned that you felt relieved after both of them.
Hmm.
So tell me a little bit more about that. I mean, is this something that you kind of settled in to a place where you were always looking for a way out, or?
So for the job, I always looked for a way out. I just didn't know what I was going to do after the fact,
Yeah.
right? Um, and then for the divorce, the marriage, I never wanted that to end like that. That was never a thing of mine. My parents were divorced. My dad's side was always divorced, and I didn't want that to happen. So it was always in
Hmm.
my head, ingrained in my mind, that it wasn't going to happen to me, and it did. Um, yeah, I didn't want that part to happen, but it happened, and so I had to accept it, right? And what it really did was, I feel like it got me to the point where I am today, and now I know who I really am, right? So I was
Hmm.
literally grinding in a mold, in a sense, going to work, getting up, coming home, taking care of the wife, the kids, the family, whatever, and then rinse and repeat. And it was like, who am I?
Hmm.
What am I supposed to be doing? And then so I lost a job, so that opened up opportunities. I started to expand and go to events that I never would have went to before,
Right.
right? Meeting people, and then with the divorce part, I was like, I was able to find myself even deeper, right? I was able to try new things, if meditating I never did before, praying and all this stuff like that. That was a whole nother journey for me. Um, yeah, it allowed me to find myself, and I'm still exploring. Like, this is not over. Like, what I mean,
Hmm.
I'm still having fun, and I'm still continuing to
Right.
connect and go to events and everything, and growing. So the podcast, allow me to transform. And as you said, listen to the guests and stuff. You can take that energy in, and you can use it or not use it, right?
Right.
But I mean, a lot of the people I had on have been great individuals, just being open, honest, authentic, and vulnerable. And I believe that has helped me get to where I am today for sure.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you for being vulnerable to share your story and to be open and authentic about it. I want to talk a little bit about when you began this journey of self-discovery. What surprised you the most about who you were becoming or who you were learning more about?
What surprised me the most? It was, I guess, taking risk and doing things I've never done before, right?
Mm.
So I still consider myself an introvert, and even though I'm probably talking a lot right here, right? But because you're asking me questions, but um, for me to go out on a limb and reach out to people and podcast and go to events and start speaking this year, like that's new for me, right? And so like it allowed me to expand and have and try new things. It's definitely been a game changer for me, and just keep moving forward.
And how does that feel to
It feels
to
good.
find that part of
It
in
feels
you?
good. And that's what I mean. Like, I'm not done yet, right? I don't like, I feel like I found the purpose, but I think there's just a little bit more. And then you get to that point and you go a little bit more, right?
Hmm.
And that's the fun in it, right? And it's about not giving up, because
Right.
the reward on the other side for somebody else. It's not, yeah, it's great for me, but I'm just trying to think of everybody else around me that can uh, take advantage of everything I'm doing and learn from it.
Hmm. Well, I'm sure that as you continue to share your experience and as you learn more, through the podcast and through your speaking, spreading not only your message but other people's message, really has a huge ripple effect. So I think it's just awesome. It's great that you've kind of found this whole new purpose in life, because I'm sure that in your previous career, that was that was what you thought you were there to do, but
Yeah.
you found this whole new purpose. So I think that's amazing. Your podcast Life's Checkmark has reached the top 10%. What do you think resonates most with your listeners?
Yeah, and so like that's a great question too, because as a podcaster, we don't hear too much, right? So I can only guess that it's mostly people coming on and listening to the guests that have come on to share their journey, and being open, honest, and vulnerable on mine, right? And that's what my platform's all about. So essentially, I create it as a stage for them, and I try not to interject in anything whatsoever. I just want them to share. And as a speaker on stage, you're not going to interject unless their time is up, right? And that's about it. Um, so I look for the guest or the listener to listen to the guest fully and completely as much as possible. So I can only hope that's why they're connecting and listening to that, and know that there's some valuable information and a lot of people out there that can share their story. And it's not the people at the top, right? We all see the same people over and over again on all these podcasts. So it's like you and I sitting down like this. Like there's a lot of great stuff going on right here.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I know what it feels like to be on the other side of the podcast, right? Like you're used to asking all the questions and
Yeah,
sitting back and listening, and here you are now. I'm just listening for you to provide all the information, and I try not to interject, like you said, and just
yeah,
let you tell that story. But it's a little interesting being on the other side sometimes, isn't it?
it is. It's definitely interesting. Yeah, I like it though. It changes it up a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Well, my wife is watching us right now, and she said that self-growth is such a huge life skill. So good for you. And I'm grateful that my wife is watching and she supports me, and so I think that's super cool. So thank you
That's
for
awesome.
commenting. So you help people overcome fear and hesitation around starting their own podcast. What's the biggest mindset shift they need to make?
Yeah, so starting out, it's basically knowing that you can do it, right? They're scared of the camera. They're scared of what people are going to think about them, and so that's the first thing I think that they need to get over is that fear of just getting it out there. So I try to tell them like, podcasting, it's audio, really. Like this is new. Like this, not everybody's doing video, so just
Hmm.
start with audio, right? And so basically, you're hiding and right. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Not, I don't mean that's what it is hiding, but that's what podcasting is. It's audio. And so you can start with that. You can record if you want, so you have it for later, but it's getting over that fear of just getting started and launching it. So, I'll say this is that, I try to tell them to start with 10 episodes, kind of like what I did. So you give that room to breathe once you launch it, so you can find people as guests or your solo episodes you're going to create thereafter. So you're not struggling, you're not,
Hmm.
trying to hurry up for the next one. So that's one of the other things I would say too.
Yeah, doing the audio podcast, it was funny when you were saying you get to hide. I always think about the characters that are under, like, like at Disneyland, they're playing a character and they're like nobody knows who it is under it, and they're getting all animated, or when you're at Halloween, people when they have a mask on, they're just a little bit more outgoing and they just kind of let loose a little bit
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
It hit me, it struck me like that's kind of like what you get to do, and people on the radio or whatever. um all of my podcasts have always been video, and man, if I look back at the first, I don't know, 50 maybe, or maybe even the first 100
Mhm.
compared to what they look like now. I mean, the look and feel has always been pretty simple. I have a simple microphone and headset. I got a ring light over here, and I'm sitting at my kitchen table. I used to do this from my karate school. But like, I kind of thought the same thing. Like, just get started, and if people watch, cool. But I try not to get hung up on, and it's really hard, but I try not to get hung up on how many likes or how many listens or how many views it got, because at the end of the day, this podcast is really more about me and you, right? I
Mhm.
mean, we're having a time to connect and learn about each other. And if anybody else learns from this, I think that's like icing on the cake. So when I'm talking to people that are, wanting to get onto a podcast, it's like, dude, just start, just get going, because it's going to get better over time. You're never going to start perfect. It's never going to look perfect. But just get started, like you said. So, as a father, how did your personal transformation impact the way you show up for your children today?
Yeah, so honestly, I get them about every 7 days, so I don't see them all the time. So it's all about now just showing up and being present with them, reaching out to them every day. And whether I hear from them or not, yeah, it's just setting the stage that I'm here, right? I'm here if you need me. You can call me, text me, whatever it is. And when we're together, it's just you can shut the stuff off, the phone and everything, and just go out and do something outside or whatever. And it's not perfect. It's not all the time, but that's what you got to do. You got to just remember that you only have limited time, right? So I never wanted to have my kids for half a year, right? It's now I have them for a half a year, so I miss all that time.
Hmm.
So I try to stay as present as possible, let them know what I'm doing in my life when they're not around me as well, and just like we mentioned before with the podcast and stuff, mine's being vulnerable and stuff. So I tell them things, and we could discuss about relationships and money and business and all that stuff. Things that I never had before. Nobody sat
Hmm.
down and said, let's talk about this, right? So
Right.
I get to bring that to the table.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that, I think a lot of us as parents, we try to do those types of things for our kids. Like, if our parents didn't give us this, we wanted to make sure that they got that. Or if they did something that we didn't like, we try to make sure we didn't do that. But what I really love is, talking about being present. I have to admit, sometimes I am not the best at this because, both my kids still live at home. They're 23 and 20 now. So they're not young kids. We're not playing or going outside, going to the park, stuff like that. But even, every now and again, both of my kids will remind me, like, Dad, can you put down the phone for a second? And I feel so bad when they say it. And it's just a reminder of how much they notice that. And and I'm glad that they remind me. I'm actually glad. Sometimes I get a little irritated, but I'm glad that they remind me because that means that they still want my attention. They still want me to be there with them. So yeah, I appreciate that you brought that up and talk about it because it is, very easy to be on our
Mhm.
phone or to be distracted with work or just life or anything else. So,
Right.
well, listen, we're going to take a quick break just to recognize one of our sponsors and one of our supporters of the show. So I'll be right back, but this is Raptor Extreme Karate. All right, guys. This is Jason Flame, host of the Master Motivation Podcast, here with Jon Emery with Life's Checkmark. Guys, if you missed the earlier part of this episode, go back, check it out. We've already uncovered quite a bit about Jonathan's experience with losing a 20-year career and navigating through divorce. We just got done talking a little bit about visiting with his kids and his time with his children. We talked a little bit about being more present and not always having this in our hand or in our face. But I want to jump into the next part of this and talk a little bit more about your podcast. You've spoken to over 150 guests. What is the one conversation that you think has either changed you or impacted you the most?
Yeah, and so I had to think about this, right? Because there's so many of them. Uh,
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I sat down, I had a leadership coach on, and I wound up using his services, which what is sometimes you don't think that's going to happen, right?
Hmm.
And so I did. And so what got me inspired by what he does and helps people is he allowed me to sit down and write my values, my mission, and my vision for me, not for your business, but for me. And I never heard that before. So I think I did it 2 years ago, somewhere around there.
Hmm.
Um, and that allowed me to be more clear where I want to go with things, right? And I have questions like, if this thing comes up, is it worth doing? Is it where my values, my mission, my vision is going? Um, so that I would say that's one of many, right? That kind of
Hmm.
like guided me on this path of even becoming a stronger, better leader as well.
Yeah. Do you find, and have you had the experience of sometimes you have a guest on your show and they're selling their service the entire time, and that conversation after the interview is all about a pitch? Have you had that
I,
experience?
I could say there's one that I could think of for sure.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Doesn't that, I mean, it's just it's mind blowing, because I'm more about like, hey, I appreciate, your time for the hour. And if someone wanted my services, they're gonna ask me for it. If I
Mhm.
wanted your service, I'm gonna ask for it. But man, that pitch sometimes is pretty tough. But I also remember one particular person that I had on my show, and he had me write my obituary. And
Mm.
that was very interesting in how I wanted to be remembered. And so I still look at that on my phone from time to time because it's a pretty powerful thing to look at. Some people thought that was really weird to write your own obituary, but it gives you a little bit of clarity when you start talking about your vision and your mission. Um, it just helps you to focus more on what you're doing today and tomorrow.
That's right. Yeah, I heard about doing that too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so what do you wish more people understood about feeling lost or feeling stuck in life?
I would say hope, and knowing that they can reach out to people. Don't be scared. But that's the problem we have, right? Society kind of says that it's your problem. You deal with it, and nobody's here to help you. So I was in that spot, right? If I didn't reach out to that pocket, like I don't know what made me do it, but if I didn't do it, I don't know where I would be. And so you have to take action, right? And just take that leap of faith and hope and just see what happens because you don't know. It's just sitting where you are today. It's the same. It's going to be the same, right? It's not going to.
Hmm.
Nothing's going to change unless you do something about it. So that's what I would say.
Yeah. Well, hope is a big motivator, right? I mean, when you have just that little glimmer of hope, like it can really rev you up and get you going, no matter whether it's starting a podcast or getting to the gym and hoping you're going to be in better shape or you're going to feel better. It just takes that little glimmer to get you to take action, is what you said. And I think that that's the most important part. As a podcast accountability coach, what's one mistake you see beginners making again and again?
Yeah, so I would go back to that 10 episode thing, right? People are so quick to just launch a podcast. And we always say start, right? But if you just start with one episode and you want to do one per week, then and you launch it, now you're scrambling to get the other one for the following week. So a lot of people give up. So 90% don't get past episode 3, right?
Mm,
And that could be part of the case. They just, do one and then they give up because they didn't make the second one in time, so that who's going to go come and listen to me, right? Or they do
mhm.
5 of them and they launch them all at once, now
Right.
you have nothing, right? So that I think is the biggest problem is they're not preparing themselves first.
Hmm.
Yes, let's get started, but let's prepare a little bit in advance.
Right. People thought I was crazy when I first started my podcast because I actually scheduled 52 guests within I don't know, over 2 weeks. I reached out to all the people that I wanted to interview, and within like 2 weeks, I had 52 time slots scheduled. And so after I started scheduling, like, the 20th or 30th, people are like, what do you mean it's like at the end of the year? I'm like, well, I'm just scheduling out, like, at the time I think I was doing every Monday. I'm scheduling out every Monday for the whole year. And I actually did that for like 2 years in a row, like schedule them all the way out in advance. So like you said, planning, but here's my question to you. How do you choose your guests? How do you choose who's going to be on your podcast?
Great question. So I don't know how you do it. I don't know how a bunch of other people are doing it. I know people do like a form and you kind of just like go through it and say, yep, okay, fits. Right. For me, it's coming on doing something like this for 20 minutes. So I get to know who you are, Jason. Is it a good fit? Are you going to show up and share with me what you're going to share? So that one episode where you asked about pitching and stuff, that was my big mistake because it was referred to me and I didn't do that. So
Hmm.
if I would have done that, I probably would have been like, no, because there was no vibe. There was nothing that clicked there between that person and I for sure.
Hmm.
Um, but I enjoy doing this, the 20 minutes, and we build a relationship. And if it's not a good fit, it's not a good fit. But who knows? There could be something there. I can send you somewhere else to another podcaster or something like that, or there could be a business venture. I don't know. But if you
Hmm.
don't take the opportunity to sit down and talk to them, you have no idea what's going on.
Right. Well, I appreciate that we were able to connect prior to scheduling this episode, and we had a really good conversation. I mean, within like the first 5 minutes, I think we found that we had clicked in several different
Right.
areas, and it was really easy. And that's when man, that's going to be a great podcast. When you could you have a 15-minute conversation with someone, and you're like, yeah, we can talk for a while. You
Right.
know, for me choosing guests. Having been in the martial arts industry for, over 30 plus years, I've met, a lot of really cool people and had really great interactions with them at seminars, or I've heard them speak before. So that's kind of who I attracted first, because that's my world. But becoming part of the Connected Leaders Academy, knowing Jose Escobar and meeting people through him, having our coffee chats. Um, I have had guests on my show that I thought I was going to be doing martial arts for forever. Like I just thought and I'm like, wait, there's not enough people to do that, But now it's like people ask me, well, who is your your prime guest or whatever. I'm like, I don't know that I have one, because it's martial artists, it's comedians, actors, stunt people, podcasters, authors. Um, to me, I think it's the story, the compelling story, and something that the person can add value to anybody else watching. And again, I think through telling our own stories, if we get one person tunes in and watches, and they gain something from it, then I think that I've accomplished my goal. I know that for me, because I enjoy the conversation myself. So if one other person takes that, then hey, that's awesome.
Right.
That works for me. How are you doing on scheduling guests? How far out are you booked, and you got a lot of upcoming guests?
So right now I have maybe a few of them, and just for the simple fact that they're part of the book I'm starting, so that's who I'm taking at the moment.
Got it. Got it. Cool. And so what role does vulnerability, we've talked about this word, play in building stronger communities, both in podcasting and in life?
Yeah, it's I would say it's just letting them know where you are, like where you want to go, and what your journey is already. Like, again, the mission, the vision, right? You can kind of state that in a sense, right? This is where I want to go. Do you want to come with me, right? And so you're opening up. You're telling them up front, this is who I am. This is what I want to do. If you don't want to come with me, then don't. That's fine, right? And so that's the other part. You guys stop taking things personally, right? And so everybody's doing their own thing, and they might reflect something onto you, but it's not you, it's them, right? And so you have to look at that too. So and that's why, talking to people and just sharing with them what's going on, or the guest or whoever you're talking to, they're going to open up to you. I've had people come on and they told me stuff they said they never said before to anybody else. Like, I don't know. I'm not looking for it. I didn't poke and prod. They just wound up saying something. But it's one of those things that it you just you got to find it, right? You just got to find where you can just be safe with yourself and who you are, and just let the words come out, so that
Mhm.
yeah, that you can kind of shine your light in a sense, right? Why hide? Why hide in the dark?
Yeah, and what a gift that is, that you've had people tell you, I've never told anybody else this, or I've never talked about this story before.
Yeah.
Something like you said had to feel safe for them to be able to talk to you about it, even though your podcast is going to stream out to whoever, however many listeners are going to hear that later. But I think that's a pretty special gift that someone is able to open up that much and just talk about something that they've never talked about before. How does that feel?
It's surprising, I'll be honest with you. Like, I'm not looking for that, but when it comes, I'm just like shocked. And then after that, after we, stop the recording or whatever, they're like, I can't believe I said that, but I'm glad I did. And now it's
Yeah.
out there. Right. And so they're more relieved about sharing it. So
Hmm.
like, I think you said this earlier, it's kind of like therapy. Right. And yeah,
It can be.
exactly. Yeah. So, when I get to do this, it's like I get to just like open up, but most of the time I'm taking it all in. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us more about Life's Checkmark. Where did the name come from? And where did that come from?
Yeah. So, for me, you can think of it as like the job I had. Right. So I basically, it was told to go to work, go to school, go to college, get a job, and then have the wife, the family, the kids, the house, and every, 401k. And like that would be the check mark. Right. But that's their check mark, not mine. So it was planted in my head as a seed that this is what I have to do. But navigating through life, things happen along the way. So now I am checking off my own check mark, right? My life's check mark. And that keeps changing, right? As I keep going, I keep learning new things.
Hmm.
But you don't have to do what everybody else is telling you to do. You don't have to do what everybody in society is telling you to do just because most of the people are doing it. You can step away from the herd and do something different. And so that's how I look at it. What is your life's check mark, right? What are you here for? If you want to match it with the words purpose and all that, that's fine. Um,
Hmm.
and you're a long course too. You're navigating, it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. So that's why and that's just one example. If you wanted, yeah, I did the check mark. Yes. That's just one example as far as if you want to consider like that's a check mark in your life. Like you can add relationships to it. You can add business, finances, whatever you want to add to it. Right. Well, what is that to you? Right. And so start checking off what what really drives you in life and what do you really want to do?
Yeah. I love that. And, now that you're in this space where you're participating in, seminars or speaking events, or you're part of groups that bring entrepreneurs together. Um, do you still feel that pressure? I mean, I know you said, don't follow the herd and do your own thing, do what makes you feel good. Um, do you still feel that pull towards these groups when now you're a podcaster, right? And so if you're a podcaster, you need to or should be doing uh, this, and this, and checking off that list. Do you still feel the pull?
Yes and no. Like, so you just differentiate yourself, right? So I don't do everything that everybody else is doing. And that's let's just talk about podcasting. There's so many platforms we could be, hosting this on. There's so many ways we use ChatGPT or whatever to, create descriptions and everything. So it's not like a cookie cutter, right? It's not one size fits all. Everybody's going to do their own thing. Um, so I continue to do what I've been doing for quite some time. I've been changing things as I go as in the podcast area just to play things out. I just want to see how it works. Let me be the guinea pig, right? And see
Hmm.
see how it goes. And then I could tell other people, this didn't work for me, but it might work for you. And so there's that if you want to look at the podcasting side. As far as speaking or getting in front of entrepreneur groups, yeah, there's pressure, right? Because you don't I don't put myself up there. I don't, but people see you as that person, like as a go-to guy, right? And so that's something new, something you have to take in, and it takes time to build that up and go, okay, they're coming to me for a reason, right?
Hmm.
And I have to show up as that.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about, starting the podcast. Do you do primarily audio, or do you also do video with all of yours now?
I do video as well. It's just I didn't start posting that on YouTube till like episode 35.
Got it. Got it. And what platforms do you recommend for people that are just starting out, or people maybe that have been doing, like I've been using StreamYard here for every one of my episodes from the beginning, and it streams out to all my different social media platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Um, you have to have a premium account on Twitter to be able to stream live on Twitter. But what do you recommend?
Again, I'll leave it up to you, right? You do whatever you want. So right now
Yeah,
you're streaming it live, right? And then you're going to record and post it, in other areas, I would assume. Me, I just been using Zoom. Why? Because it's easy. Everybody knows about it. Everybody's pretty much got one. And I know other podcasters who still use it. It's not the best video, but it's a great way to come together still, right?
sure.
So I've been using that, and it seems to be working fine for me.
And now, do you take your episodes and do you spend a lot of time editing the
I don't.
episode?
I
No.
don't. So I look like just us talking like this, I would just leave it the way it is.
Hmm.
And then I just cut off the ends and, add the intro, outro, all that stuff and let it be what it is. Now I might edit the audio part, whereas if, something disconnected or whatever, they're on their laptop mic or whatever. So it's not the best quality. So we can balance that out.
Yep.
But that's about it. I'm not taking out the ums, the ahs that a lot of other people might be doing, because I truly believe a lot of people just want it to be real anymore, and they
Right.
just want to lean in and listen into that.
Yep. Yep. No, I agree. I mean, people ask me about how much time I spend editing, and I say this much time,
Yeah,
because number one, mine does stream live. So what you see right now is what you get later on the replay. But what I do love is that I can now use, since I'm streaming live on YouTube, is I can now have that link to share. And I've started to actually go back and, throughout the week, I'm posting past episodes. I'd love to get, right now my goal is I'd love to get to 365 episodes. This one is 276, I think.
okay.
But I want to get to the point where I have one for every day, so that I can just post an episode, and then I can go back and do some catching up with whoever I did. So yeah, that's eventually the goal. That's just kind of playing around. But and for me, like, the podcast is not like, I don't monetize the podcast at
Mhm.
all. This is not a career. This is purely something I do for fun and for passion. What are some of the things that you are doing, or you can do, or you want to do in the future, that may help you monetize it?
Yeah, so one thing could be like running ads as far as other podcasters or business owners. That's one thing I would go with, especially people I already know, not
Hmm.
something I don't use. Like a
Right.
car or whatever, right? You get all that all the time. That's what the big names are doing. But for me, number one is I'm doing the book, so I got 30 guests coming into this, and so that's, if you want to call it monetizing the podcast, great. But for me, it's about bringing guests together in a collaboration to help others.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, there's so many out there. So I tried one with the hosting platform I use. So now if you go check out my podcast, it's pennies. But I think probably the second one down on the episode, it says you can listen to Jay Shetty, because it's about the same, right? Same kind of ideas going on. So I get paid a little bit for that. That's just me playing around with it,
Hmm.
and see how things go. But there's so many things that basically, Jason, it's people having a business, having something to promote and share of their own, and that's how they're
Yeah.
going to create and generate some money out of this, right?
Right.
This is a long game, and all the big names will tell you the same thing, right? It took them 3-5 years to get to where
Hmm.
they are today, to just even start to get to where
Right.
they are today, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah, so you have to it's just putting in the reps, right? And we're not all perfect, but 3 years for me, and how many years has it been for you?
I think this is the fourth year.
4th year. Yeah,
Yeah.
see, and we're just still grinding because we
Yep.
enjoy it, right? It's not
Exactly.
about the money.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Well, hey, speaking of sponsors or partners or supporters, I'm going to put up one more, and we'll be right back. But this is the Connected Leaders Academy.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world, globally, all across the country, high performers, titans of industry. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, this is where you want to be. Join the Connected Leaders Academy today. We are scaling massively. We want to welcome you in. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JASCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
All right, we're back, and this is Jason Flame, host of the Master Motivation Podcast, talking with Jonathan Emery with Life's Checkmark. Pretty cool to put Jose Escobar up on the screen for a minute and talk about Connected Leaders Academy, because as we were just talking about, grinding it out for 3-4 years before you can finally get started. I can remember when Jose first approached me. I think it was one of maybe the first 25 people in Connected Leaders Academy. I had a conversation with him a long time ago. We met through the martial arts industry. We actually bonded over talking about professional wrestling. But he started talking about this plan that he had, for Connected Leaders Academy, and here he is, all these years later, and now finally, one person at least in every state. He's got, I don't know how many countries now, so it's pretty crazy. And like you can say like, hey, I remember when first started. And so now with your podcast, you're going to have those first 10 guests going. I was one of the first 10 guests on Life's Checkmark, so pretty cool to see. And then real quick, putting this up there, Emilio, I'm not sure if Emilio is still watching, but I know that he is doing the foreword to your book.
Yes.
And Emilio is great. He and Daniela are awesome. Got a chance to work with them on the Born to Risk issue as well, which I believe you were part of.
Yep.
And so tell us a little bit more about your book and the people that you're bringing into this book and what kinds of stories that they're telling.
Yeah, so it's guests that have been on my podcast or guests that are coming on the podcast. Basically, they're sharing their journey, just like my podcast is. And it's going to be where they can have a chapter. Now they can write something in that chapter that wasn't said on the podcast, right? Think of Born to Risk if you want. So they'll have their picture, they'll have their bio and all the links. And then I'm going to have a QR code where they can go ahead and go watch and listen to the podcast episode. And then from there, they'll be able to click on the links that were in the book, right? So everything's going to be available that way. The idea here is to get it in the hands of people that don't listen to podcasts. They didn't find the podcast. They didn't listen. They didn't find the episode. Now, maybe they enjoy reading, right? And so for me personally, I want to give a bunch of them away. So now somebody's got 30 people in their hands and they can go ahead and see if one of them can help them navigate through whatever they're going through. So it's a great way for me to get my guests to come together. They can network and get to know each other, maybe work with something. And then eventually I like to see if I can take this to stage for those that are part of the book.
That's awesome. That's cool. Well, it's just another way to collaborate with like-minded people and share stories and help, kind of promote each other. So I think that's awesome. So if someone's listening today, standing at the edge of a big life reset, what's the very first step you'd tell them to take?
I'll tell you what my coach told me when I was going through the divorce part. He said breathe. He said breathe a lot, right? And I think that's what you got to do is just sit back and relax, because we get in our minds and we just run and run and run and run, like all the worst case scenarios, anxiety, depression, whatever you call it, right? And so if you just learn to sit back and breathe a little bit, everything's okay. Like it's not the end of the world, and we can get through this. So I think I know it sounds weird, but just breathe, just 3 deep breaths. You kind of calm down, and then you can kind of reset and go, where do I go? Who do I turn to from here? What do I do?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't sound weird to me at all,
Right.
because breathing, I'll quote Mr. Miyagi, right? He says, no breathe, no life. And so like, sometimes that's what we need to do in the moments of excitement, in the moments of despair, in the moments of just, I don't even know what's going on. It really is good advice, because sometimes that's what we do is we get so tense, we hold our breath, and you feel every muscle in your body tighten up, and you don't make good decisions. As a fighter, if we're not breathing and relaxed, we're not moving the way we want to move, and we're making bad decisions. So yeah. And Giselle is watching. Thanks, Giselle. Quintanilla she said, just breathe. It's so underrated, but it is very powerful. So I agree 100%. Emilio commented again. Thank you, Emilio. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Would love to have, what I think I'm going to be doing is doing another, what do I call it? A roundtable discussion of having groups of people on the podcast. So I did that actually a couple years ago. And so I'd like to do that again. So I'd probably like to bring you back, and maybe we can have some of your guests from your book. So we have you all on at the
Sure.
same time.
Let's do it.
So that would be cool. All right. Well, what's next in the immediate future right now? What's next?
What's next for podcasting and stuff and everything?
Yeah.
Going on. Yeah. Well, besides the book, I am doing a live podcast event. So it'd be like me and you, Jason, recorded live, audio, video, streaming live, and then we eventually get the stuff where you can post on our podcast, right? So it'd be 7 podcasters in the day, and then live audience. So it's not just the podcasters, not just the guests waiting or have gone already, but then have people coming in to sit down and listen and see how a podcast is. It allows space for you and me get off our kitchen tables or whatever and go out and kind of get the real feel for it, right? That's coming up in April here in Pennsylvania. And the other thing is trying to think of it's just a way for another this is what I want to say. Think of it as like you're going to an event and there are people are speaking. Mm-hmm. So it's like that, right? Just in a different form. It's just podcasting, right? And so we get that. Now we're having a conversation and people are listening to that conversation. And then in between, within 10, 15 minutes, hopefully the audience can ask questions to the guests. And then we'll do a panel with all the podcasters at the end.
Love it. Very cool. Yeah. Very cool. You said that's in April?
That's in April, yeah.
Okay, very cool. Awesome. Well, hey, man, thanks for being on the show today. Thanks for just talking to me about, all the things going on. Thank you for being vulnerable, talking about some, challenging times that you've had. I hope that someone that is watching this will take something from that. And if you have any comments, please share that with us, and or questions for that matter, and we'll be happy to answer those. Go over to Master Motivation Podcast on YouTube and subscribe for more upcoming episodes. And Jonathan, go ahead and pitch. You've got it right there, right? Lifescheckmark.com is where they can find you.
You can check that. Yeah, you can check that out. That's got the event and everything going on. If they want to know anything about the book, they have to reach out to me personally, and I can talk to them about that.
Okay. And where can people find you on YouTube or other social media platforms?
The best place would be Facebook. Just look for me, Jonathan Emery, and you find me with the headset on and everything in the picture, and easy to find.
Yep. And if you guys have a hard time finding him, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'll make sure that I connect you with Jonathan. But thanks again for being on the show. It was a lot of fun, especially after our conversation. And thanks for coming on Black Friday.
Oh, I know, right?
Nobody wanted to. Nobody thought about coming on like right near Thanksgiving, but you jumped on, so I appreciate that.
Sure.
But we'll keep in touch, and we'll talk more soon.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Thanks again, Jonathan. Guys, thank you so much for watching again today. Check us out for another edition of Master Motivation Podcast next week, and go enjoy your weekend. Take care.